The deep hum of the engines vibrated through the U.S. Dauntless as it patrolled the edge of human space. Captain Frank Morris sat in the command chair, his eyes fixed on the main view screen showing the star-speckled blackness ahead. 20 years of service had left lines on his face, but his eyes remained sharp and alert. "Status report," he said, his voice calm and measured. Lieutenant Diane Powell turned from her communications station. "All systems normal, Captain. We're maintaining standard patrol pattern along Sector 7. The Dauntless was humanity's pride. A warship built after Earth nearly destroyed itself in the last war. That conflict had almost wiped out the human race, but it also did something unexpected. It united the survivors. Old borders fell away. Old hatreds were forgotten. Humanity rebuilt itself, stronger and more determined than ever to reach the stars." "Sir, I'm picking up something unusual," said Commander Henry Blackwell from the tactical station. His fingers moved quickly over the control panel. "Unknown vessel approaching from bearing 227 Mark IV. Morris straightened in his chair. "Yellow alert." On screen. The view screen flickered and showed a massive ship moving toward them. It was unlike anything they had seen before, angular and predatory, with weapon ports clearly visible along its hull. It was at least 3 times the size of the Dauntless. "Analysis?" Morris asked. Science Officer Kevin Harper studied his readings. "Design unknown, Captain. No match in our database. Power readings are off the charts. They're scanning us now." "Open a channel, Lieutenant Powell." Standard greeting. Powell's fingers danced across her console. "Channel open." "Sir." Morris stood up. "This is Captain Frank Morris of the Earth vessel Dauntless. We come in peace and offer friendship." The screen remained empty for several long seconds. Then it changed to show the bridge of the alien vessel. The crew of the Dauntless found themselves staring at a tall reptilian being with scales that shimmered with a metallic gleam. Ceremonial scars crossed its face in complex patterns. "I am War Leader Krezov of the Zakari Imperium," the alien said, its voice translated by the ship's computer. "Your vessel has been scanned and found to be primitive. You have entered space claimed by the Imperium." Morris kept his expression neutral. "We were unaware of any territorial claims in this sector. We are on a peaceful mission of exploration." Krasov made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Peace is for the weak. The Zakari claim what we desire through strength. Your ship's technology is inferior. Your weapons are inadequate." Chief Engineer Olivia Martinez leaned toward Morris and whispered, "They're underestimating us, Captain." Morris nodded slightly. The Dauntless might look ordinary from the outside, but inside, it carried technologies no other species had mastered. While the Zakari had built bigger ships with more weapons, humans had focused on efficiency and adaptability. Lessons learned the hard way during Earth's darkest days. "We have no quarrel with you," Morris said. "We would prefer to establish diplomatic relations." "Diplomacy is also for the weak," Krasov replied. "You will surrender your vessel and provide coordinates to your homeworld. The Zakari Imperium requires new territories and resources." The bridge crew exchanged worried glances. Humanity had encountered several alien species since venturing into space, but none had been openly hostile like this. "And if we refuse?" Morris asked, although he already knew the answer. "Then you will be destroyed." Krasov's mouth stretched into what might have been a smile, revealing rows of sharp teeth. "You have 1 standard hour to decide. Surrender or death. Those are your options." The screen went dark. "Well," Morris said, looking around at his crew, "it seems we've found ourselves in a situation." Lieutenant Powell looked up from her station. "Captain, I've been analyzing their transmission. Their tone and language patterns suggest they're completely serious. They genuinely believe we pose no threat." Morris nodded slowly. "That might be the one advantage we have." "Blackwell, what's their weapons status?" "They have us outgunned 3-1, at least on paper. But they haven't powered up weapons yet. They don't see us as worth the effort." Morris turned to Martinez. Olivia, how quickly can you implement those shield modifications we discussed? The chief engineer grinned. Give me that hour they offered, and I'll show these Zakari what human engineering can do. Make it happen, Morris ordered. It seems we're about to give these aliens their first lesson about humanity. Captain Morris paced the bridge of the Dauntless, his mind racing through options. The Zakari warship loomed on the view screen, a dark reminder of the threat they faced. 45 minutes until their deadline. Lieutenant Powell reported from her station. Morris nodded. Open a channel back to the Zakari vessel. The screen flickered to life, showing War Leader Krasov's scaled face. Have you decided to surrender, human? Not exactly, Morris replied calmly. But I need to consult with my superiors before making such an important decision. Our protocols require it. Krasov's eyes narrowed. You ask for delay. This is a sign of weakness. Or respect for proper procedure, Morris countered. Surely a military force as disciplined as yours understands chain of command. The Zakari leader seemed to consider this. Very well. You have 3 additional hours. Use them wisely. The screen went dark again. Morris turned to his crew. That should buy us enough time. Powell, what have you learned about their communications? The communications officer studied her console. They're broadcasting constantly, sir. Not just to us, but back to their fleet. They're very confident, almost boastful about their expected victory. Pride before the fall, Morris muttered. Blackwell, tactical assessment. Commander Blackwell pulled up a holographic display of both ships. Their main weapons are positioned here, here, and here. He pointed to various spots on the Zakari vessel. Heavy energy cannons, some type of missile system. But there's something odd about their shield configuration. Science Officer Harper moved closer to the display. I've been analyzing that. Their shields are incredibly powerful, but they use a fixed frequency pattern. If we can determine that pattern, we might find a weakness, Morris finished. Keep working on it. I'll be in engineering. Morris took the lift down to the engine deck where Chief Engineer Martinez was already hard at work with her team. The normally orderly engineering section was a hive of activity, with panels open and crew members rushing between stations. How's it coming, Olivia? Morris asked. Martinez looked up from a tangle of circuitry. We're implementing the Phoenix modifications now, Captain. It wasn't supposed to be field tested for another 6 months. But, she shrugged, no time like the present. Project Phoenix was one of Earth's most closely guarded secrets, a defensive system that used principles of quantum physics that most species hadn't even discovered yet. On paper, it could enhance the Dauntless's shields and weapons beyond anything the Zakari would expect. Will it work? Morris asked quietly. Martinez wiped sweat from her forehead. In theory, yes. In practice, she gestured at the modified systems. We're about to find out. Morris's communicator beeped. Captain, came Lieutenant Commander Adam Kruz's voice. Security teams are in position throughout the ship. If they try to board us, we'll be ready. Good work, Adam, Morris replied. Keep me posted. As he headed back to the bridge, Morris passed the medical bay. Inside, Dr. Samantha Wright was preparing for casualties. How bad do you think it will be? She asked when she saw him. Morris paused. I don't know, Sam, but I do know the Dauntless was built to take a beating. Back on the bridge, Security Chief Laura Jackson approached with a datapad. Sir, I've been researching the Zakari through our database. There are reports from other sectors about a species matching their description. 3 peaceful civilizations have gone silent in the past year after reporting large, aggressive ships entering their systems. Morris took the pad, his expression grim. So this is what they do. They bully and conquer less advanced species. Yes, sir, Jackson confirmed. Always the same pattern. An ultimatum, then attack. Harper called from his station. Captain, I got something. Their shield harmonics follow a predictable pattern. If we can time our weapons fire to match the fluctuations. Lieutenant Commander Cruz joined them, his face serious. Even with that advantage, sir, we're still outgunned. The Dauntless isn't built for this kind of fight. Morris looked around at his crew, worried but determined faces looking back at him. Throughout history, humans have overcome worse odds than these. The Zakari measure strength by the size of their guns. We'll show them there's more to power than that. He sat in the command chair and activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is the captain. In less than 3 hours, we'll be facing an enemy who believes they already know the outcome of this battle. They're wrong. They may have bigger ships and more weapons, but we have something they don't: human ingenuity and the will to survive. Prepare your stations. Morris out. As the deadline approached, the Dauntless hummed with purpose. In the face of overwhelming odds, the crew worked with quiet efficiency. They weren't just fighting for themselves now, but for every species that might fall under Zakari rule if they failed. Down in engineering, Chief Engineer Olivia Martinez wiped sweat from her brow as she connected the final circuit for Project Phoenix. The experimental system was never meant to be installed so quickly, but they had no choice. "Pass me that calibrator," she said to her assistant, Greg Winters. Winters handed her the tool. "Do you think this will actually work?" Martinez adjusted a connection before answering. "It has to. The tests back on Earth were promising, but..." She paused. "This isn't exactly how I plan to field test a system based on theoretical quantum physics." Project Phoenix was built around a simple but revolutionary idea. During the last war on Earth, scientists discovered unusual quantum effects in neutron stars that could be harnessed to create adaptive shield technology. While other species focused on brute force, humanity had learned to be clever. "Captain to engineering." Morris's voice came through the communication system. "Status update." "We're at 85%, Captain," Martins replied. "Need another hour to finish installation and run basic tests." "You have 40 minutes, Morris said. The Zakari are getting restless." On the bridge, Morris ended the communication and turned to Science Officer Harper. "What else have you learned about our new friends?" Harper displayed a series of energy readings on his screen. "Their weapons are powerful but predictable. They use a standard attack pattern, the same one for every encounter, according to the data we've gathered." "Predictable is good," Morris nodded. "Anything else?" "Yes, sir. The Zakari ship has blind spots here and here." Harper pointed to areas near the engines. "Their sensors don't cover these zones well." Security Chief Laura Jackson joined them. "I've distributed weapons to all crew members and set up defense points at every major junction. If they board us, they'll face resistance at every turn." Morris nodded appreciatively. "Good work." Lieutenant Powell called from her station. "Captain, I'm picking up internal communications from the Zakari ship. They're laughing about us. They've already sent messages to their fleet claiming victory." "Overconfidence," Morris said. "Another weakness we can exploit." Lieutenant Commander Cruz approached with concern on his face. "Sir, I've run the numbers 3 times. Even with the Phoenix modifications, we're outmatched. Maybe we should consider retreat. Warn Earth about the threat." Morris looked at his second-in-command. "Adam, do you know what happened to the people of Arcadia Colony when the raiders came through last year?" Cruz nodded slowly. "They tried to run. The raiders picked them off one by one." "Exactly," Morris said. "Sometimes running just means dying tired. Besides, if we retreat, the Zakari will follow us straight to other human settlements. We make our stand here." Across the ship, crew members prepared for battle. In the medical bay, Dr. Wright organized her supplies and briefed her medical team on treating burns and radiation injuries. In the armory, weapons specialists checked phase rifles and handed out emergency field kits. Morris walked the corridors, stopping to speak with crew members, offering encouragement. These men and women had trained for years, but few had seen actual combat. They were scared, but determined. He returned to the bridge just as Powell announced, "Sir, incoming transmission from the Zakari vessel." "On screen," Morris ordered. War leader Krazoth appeared, his scaled face showing impatience. Your time grows short, human. Have you decided to save yourselves through surrender? Morris stood tall. We've been discussing your offer. Perhaps if you could share information about how the Zikari treat conquered worlds. The people of Nelva system, for example. Krazoth's expression shifted slightly. You know of Nelva. We know they were a peaceful civilization until a year ago, when they encountered your ships. Now they're silent. They were weak, Krazoth said dismissively. As are you. The strong conquer. The weak serve or perish. This is the way of the universe. Perhaps, Morris replied. But strength comes in many forms. Krazoth leaned forward. Your time is up, human. Surrender or face destruction. Morris glanced at Blackwell, who nodded slightly. They were as ready as they could be. I'm afraid we must decline your generous offer, Morris said calmly. Krazoth's mouth formed what might have been a smile. Then you will die. Prepare to be boarded, if anything remains of your vessel after our first volley. The screen went dark. Red alert, Morris ordered. All hands to battle stations. The Dauntless hummed as power was diverted to shields and weapons. The lights dimmed to emergency levels, bathing the bridge in a red glow. This is it, Morris said quietly. Let's show them what humans are made of. The bridge of the Dauntless fell silent as everyone watched the massive Zikari warship on the main screen. Captain Morris gripped the arms of his command chair, his knuckles white. Time to weapons range, he asked. 30 seconds, Commander Blackwell replied from tactical. Morris nodded. Hold position. Do not fire first. Sir. Blackwell looked surprised. Let them make the first move, Morris explained. I want to see how they fight. The seconds ticked by slowly. Then a bright flash erupted from the Zikari vessel. A moment later, the Dauntless shook violently as energy slammed into its shields. Direct hit, Blackwell called out. Shield integrity at 68%. Another blast rocked the ship. Sparks flew from a console on the left side of the bridge. They're sending a message, Lieutenant Powell reported. Audio only. Let's hear it, Morris ordered. Krazoth's voice filled the bridge. A taste of Zikari power, humans. Your ship still functions only because we wish it so. Surrender now. Morris ignored the message. Evasive pattern Delta. Mr. Blackwell, target their forward weapons array, but hold fire. The Dauntless moved with surprising speed for a ship its size, twisting away from the next Zikari blast. The enemy shot missed by meters. They're broadcasting again, Powell said. They're laughing at us, calling us cowards for running. Morris smiled slightly. Perfect. They think we're afraid. He tapped his communicator. Engineering, status of Project Phoenix. Online but untested. Martins replied, her voice trained. I'd really like another 10 minutes, Captain. You have 2, Morris told her. We're implementing Tactic Epsilon now. Tactic Epsilon was a complex series of maneuvers developed for asymmetric warfare when a smaller ship faced a larger opponent. It was risky, but could be effective. All hands, Morris called out. Brace for high maneuvers. The Dauntless suddenly accelerated hard, then cut engines, spun 180 degrees, and fired thrusters again, a move that brought it directly under the Zikari vessel's blind spot. Fire ventral phasers, Morris ordered. Target their sensor array. Energy beams lanced upward from the Dauntless, striking the Zikari ship's belly. The enemy vessel hadn't expected an attack from that direction and hadn't reinforced shields there. Direct hit, Blackwell reported, excitement in his voice. Their secondary sensors are offline. The Zikari ship turned slowly, trying to bring its main weapons to bear, but the Dauntless was already moving again, executing another tight turn that kept it in the enemy's blind spots. Fire again, Morris ordered. Same target. Another volley struck the Zikari vessel. This time, the enemy ship responded with a wild barrage that mostly missed, but caused the Dauntless to shake when one blast clipped its shields. Shield integrity at 52%, Blackwell reported. Captain, Powell said. Incoming transmission. The main screen showed Krezoth's face, his expression a mixture of surprise and anger. You fight well for primitives, but your luck is about to end. The transmission cut off abruptly. They're powering up their main cannon, Harper warned. Energy readings are off the charts. Evasive maneuvers, full power to forward shields, Morris ordered. A massive energy beam shot from the Zakari ship, catching the edge of the Dauntless as it tried to turn away. The human vessel shuddered violently. Alarms blared across the bridge. Shield integrity down to 29%. Blackwell called out. Hull breach on Deck 4. Lieutenant Commander Cruz coordinated damage control teams through his communicator. Medical teams to Deck 4. Seal off sections 12 through 15. The Dauntless limped away, trailing a small cloud of debris and venting atmosphere from the breach. They're preparing to fire again, Harper warned. Morris tapped his communicator. Engineering, we need Project Phoenix now. Ready on your mark, Martins replied, tension clear in her voice. The Zakari vessel adjusted its position, its main weapon glowing as it prepared to fire again. This shot would likely finish the Dauntless. Now, Olivia, Morris ordered. Deep in engineering, Martinez pressed a sequence of commands. The ship's lights flickered, then stabilized. A subtle hum ran through the deck plates as Project Phoenix came online. Phoenix is active, Martins reported, but I don't know how long it will hold. On the bridge, Morris watched as the Zakari fired their main weapon again. The energy beam streaked toward the Dauntless. Brace for impact, Morris called. The beam struck the Dauntless, but instead of the expected devastation, the energy seemed to flow around the ship's shields, dissipating harmlessly into space. Silence fell across the bridge. Then Harper spoke, wonder in his voice. It worked. The Phoenix modifications actually worked. Morris allowed himself a small smile. Now, Mr. Blackwell, let's show them what a primitive human ship can really do. The bridge crew of the Dauntless stared in amazement as the Zakari's powerful energy beam dispersed around their shields. Captain Morris wasted no time celebrating. Target their main weapon array, he ordered. Fire all forward phasers. Commander Blackwell's fingers flew across his tactical console. Firing now, sir. Brilliant blue beams shot from the Dauntless, striking the larger Zakari vessel precisely where its main weapon connected to the power core. The enemy ship shuddered visibly. Direct hit, Blackwell reported. Their main cannon is offline. Open a channel, Morris said, rising from his chair. When Lieutenant Powell nodded that the channel was open, Morris spoke clearly and confidently. This is Captain Frank Morris of the U.S. Dauntless. As you can see, War Leader Krezoth, strength isn't measured by size alone. The screen flickered to show Krezoth's face. The Zakari commander looked stunned, his reptilian features twisted with confusion and anger. Impossible, Krezoth hissed. Your technology is inferior. You cannot stand against the Zakari Imperium. Yet here we are, Morris replied. Perhaps you should reconsider your evaluation of human capabilities. Krezoth slammed a clawed hand down on something off-screen. This changes nothing. We will destroy you. The transmission cut off abruptly. They're powering up secondary weapons, Harper warned. Morris returned to his seat. Maintain Phoenix shield configuration. Prepare for their next move. Lieutenant Powell worked urgently at her station. Captain, I'm intercepting internal communications from the Zakari vessel. They're discussing. Her eyes widened. Sir, I'm seeing references to their plans for human worlds. They intend to use Earth as a resource extraction site and humans as slave labor. A grim silence fell over the bridge. Until now, they had been fighting for survival. Now they understood the true stakes. Send that information to my display, Morris ordered. After reading for a moment, his jaw tightened. They've done this before, multiple times. The Dauntless shook as the Zachary fired again, this time with smaller weapons from various points on their hull. Shields holding at 31%, Blackwell reported. The Phoenix modifications are working, but our conventional systems are failing. Morris nodded. Science Officer Harper, you mentioned a vulnerability in their shield geometry. Harper brought up a detailed scan on his screen. Yes, sir. Their shields are strongest at these 6 points, but weakest here. He pointed to a section near the Zachary ship's engine housing. If we can deliver a concentrated burst to this area, we might disable their propulsion. That would limit their ability to track us, Morris mused. Mr. Blackwell, can you hit that target? It's a small area, sir, but I can try. Do more than try, Morris said firmly. Engineering, how's our power situation? Martinez's voice came through with static. We're running hot, Captain. The Phoenix modifications are drawing more power than expected. I don't know how long we can maintain them. Do your best, Olivia. We need just a little more time. The Dauntless executed another series of evasive maneuvers, narrowly avoiding the worst of the Zachary's attacks. The human ship was smaller and more nimble, while the Zachary vessel moved with ponderous certainty, powerful but predictable. Their tactical doctrine is rigid, Morris observed. They expect their superior firepower to win every engagement. They don't adapt. Human history is full of smaller forces defeating larger ones through superior tactics, Kruz noted. Let's add another chapter to that history. Morris nodded. New approach, take us in close, right up to their shield perimeter. Sir, Blackwell looked concerned. That puts us directly in range of all their remaining weapons. Exactly, Morris said. They won't expect it. And at that range, you can target their vulnerable shield section with precision. The Dauntless dove toward the massive Zachary ship, looking for all the world like it was retreating or malfunctioning. The enemy vessel adjusted course to pursue. They're taking the bait, Harper said. They think we're running. Morris smiled slightly. The Zachary understand only one kind of strength. Let's introduce them to another. As the Dauntless came about in a tight arc, it presented its most heavily shielded section toward the enemy. The Zachary fired repeatedly, their shots mostly absorbed by the Phoenix-enhanced shields. Shield integrity fluctuating, Blackwell warned. Down to 22%. Mortis leaned forward. Target locked on their shield weak point. Yes, sir. Fire. The Dauntless unleashed a concentrated burst of energy directly at the vulnerable section of the Zachary shields. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then a ripple of energy cascaded across the enemy vessel's protective barrier. Their shields are destabilizing, Harper called out excitedly. Morris nodded with grim satisfaction. Again, Mr. Blackwell. Same target. The Dauntless fired again at the same weak point in the Zachary shield. This time, the effect was immediate and dramatic. A section of the enemy's protective barrier flickered and collapsed. We've created a breach in their shields, Harper announced. Captain Morris didn't hesitate. Target their propulsion systems. Fire all weapons. The Dauntless unleashed everything it had, focusing its attack through the gap in the Zachary defenses. The enemy ship shuddered as multiple hits struck its exposed hull. Direct hits, Blackwell reported. Their engine output is dropping. Before they could celebrate, the ship rocked violently. Warning alarms blared across the bridge. They've adapted their firing pattern, Kruz warned. They're concentrating on our port side. Another hit sent a shower of sparks from a nearby console. A crew member cried out in pain as she was thrown from her station. Damage report, Morris called out. Hull breaches on decks 3 through 5, Kruz replied, checking his display. Emergency force fields are holding, but we've lost power to sections 12 through 19. Casualties coming in from all decks, Captain Powell added, her voice tight with concern. Dr. Wright reports the medical bay is at capacity. Morris tapped his communicator. Engineering status. Martinez's voice came through. barely audible over the sound of alarms in the background. "The Phoenix system is becoming unstable, Captain. The power requirements are exceeding our capacity to manage safely. How much longer can you keep it online?" 10 minutes, maybe less, Martins replied. "After that, we'll face a cascade failure." Morris considered their options. The Dauntless had scored significant hits, but the Zakari ship was enormous. They needed something more decisive. "Harper, analysis of our current situation." The science officer studied his readings. "The Zakari have lost approximately 40% of their offensive capability, but they're still dangerous. Their remaining weapons are more than enough to destroy us if our shields fail." As if to emphasize his point, another blast from the Zakari struck the Dauntless. The lights flickered, and for a moment, it seemed like the entire ship might tear apart. "Shield integrity at 17%, Blackwell reported grimly. "One more direct hit like that, and we're done." In the medical bay, Dr. Wright worked frantically to save a badly burned engineer. The room was filled with injured crew members, some with minor injuries, others fighting for their lives. Despite the chaos, Wright moved with focused determination, treating the most critical cases first. "I need more burn gel here," she called to a nurse, "and get me another regenerator. This one's failing." Throughout the ship, damage control teams fought to contain breaches and fires. Security teams led by Chief Jackson secured vulnerable areas and helped the wounded reach medical. On the bridge, Morris made his decision. "We need to end this now. Divert all remaining power to weapons systems." "Sir," Cruz objected, "that will leave our shields critically weak." "I know," Morris replied, "but we won't survive a prolonged engagement." "Lieutenant Commander Harper, what's the status of the Zakari Command Center?" Harper consulted his scanners. "Their bridge equivalent is here." He pointed to an area near the center of the massive ship. "It's heavily protected, but the surrounding sections have taken damage. If we could penetrate those defenses," Morris mused, "could we disable their ability to fight?" "Theoretically, yes," Harper answered, "but we'd need to get very close and hit with precise targeting." Morris nodded grimly. "Then that's what we'll do. Helm, bring us to within 500 meters of their command section." The helmsman looked shocked but quickly obeyed. The Dauntless changed course, heading directly toward the heart of the enemy vessel. "Engineering, I need everything you can give to the Phoenix system," Morris said. "One last push." "Captain," Martins replied, "if we push any harder, we risk a core breach." "Understood. Do your best." Morris turned to Blackwell. "Prepare all remaining weapons. Target their command center. We'll get one shot at this." The engineering bay glowed with an unearthly blue light as Project Phoenix reached its maximum output. The experimental system was never designed to handle this level of power. Conduits strained, circuits overheated, and warning indicators flashed on every console. Martinez and her team worked desperately to keep the system stable. "Hold together," she whispered to the ship. "Just a little longer." The Dauntless closed in on the Zakari vessel, taking hit after hit. Its shields flickered dangerously, but somehow held. On the Zakari bridge, war leader Krazoth watched the approaching human ship with disbelief. For the first time in his long career of conquest, uncertainty flickered across his face. The Dauntless closed the distance to the Zakari vessel with alarming speed. Weapons fire from the enemy ship intensified, each blast weakening the human vessel's shields further. "Distance to target, 1,000 meters, the helmsman reported. Captain Morris gripped his chair as another hit rocked the ship. "Steady as she goes. Blackwell, prepare to fire on my mark." Weapons locked on target, Blackwell confirmed, his face tense with concentration. The Dauntless shuddered as another blast struck its port side. A panel exploded at the rear of the bridge, filling the air with smoke. A crew member rushed forward with a fire suppressor. "Shield integrity at 8%, Kruz warned. "We can't take much more of this." 800 meters, the helmsman called out. Morris tapped his communicator. Engineering, status of Phoenix. Martinez's voice was barely audible over the alarms in the background. Critical, Captain. The containment field is failing. We've got maybe 2 minutes before complete system collapse. 700 meters, the helmsman announced. Harper suddenly called out from his science station. Captain, I'm detecting a power surge in their weapons array. They're preparing to fire everything they have. 600 meters, the helmsman continued. All hands, brace for impact. Morris ordered over the ship-wide communication system. The Zakari unleashed a massive volley. Multiple energy beams and projectiles raced toward the Dauntless. Most were absorbed by the failing Phoenix shields, but several found their mark. The ship lurched violently. Direct hits on decks 2, 6, and 9. Cruz reported. Major damage to our port weapons array. 500 meters, the helmsman said, fighting to keep the ship on course. Now Blackwell, Morris ordered. Fire everything we've got. Commander Blackwell activated all remaining weapon systems. Phaser beams and quantum torpedoes launched simultaneously, striking the vulnerable section of the Zakari vessel with devastating precision. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a brilliant explosion erupted from the enemy ship's command section. Secondary explosions cascaded across its hull as power conduits overloaded. Direct hit on their command center, Harper confirmed, excitement in his voice. Their primary control systems are failing. The Dauntless veered away as debris from the Zakari vessel scattered through space. The massive alien ship listed to one side, multiple fires visible through breaches in its hull. Their weapons are powering down, Blackwell reported. They're losing main power. A cheer went up from the bridge crew, quickly silenced as another system failure sent sparks flying from a nearby console. Engineering to bridge, Martinez called. The Phoenix system is in full collapse. I'm initiating emergency shutdown. The Dauntless's lights flickered and dimmed as power was rerouted. The ship drifted, its own systems failing after the tremendous strain of battle. Damage report, Morris ordered. Cruz checked his console. Hull breaches on multiple decks. Life support is stable in most sections. Weapons systems at 12% capacity. Propulsion severely damaged but functional. Casualties, Morris asked quietly. 27 injured, sir, Powell reported after consulting with medical. 6 critical. 3. Her voice faltered. 3 confirmed dead. A somber silence fell over the bridge. They had won, but at a cost. Open a channel to the Zakari vessel, Morris ordered after a moment. The view screen flickered to life, showing the Zakari bridge in chaos. Emergency lighting cast harsh shadows over damaged equipment and injured crew. War leader Krezov stood in the center, a wound on his scaled face dripping dark fluid. This is Captain Morris of the Dauntless, Morris said calmly. Your ship is critically damaged. Your weapons are offline. Do you surrender? Krezov stared in disbelief. How? How did a primitive species? We're not primitive, Morris interrupted. We're human. Throughout our history, we've faced extinction many times. Each time, we survived by adapting, by finding new ways to overcome challenges. That's a kind of strength your people don't understand. The Zakari leader's eyes narrowed. The Imperium does not surrender. Then you leave me no choice, Morris replied. We still have enough firepower to destroy what remains of your vessel. I offer you this one chance to save your crew. Krezov seemed to struggle with the concept. In Zakari culture, defeat meant death or enslavement. The idea of mercy from a victor was foreign to him. Why would you spare us? He finally asked. Because that's another kind of strength, Morris answered. The strength to show mercy when victory is achieved. Around Krezov, his officers watched, waiting for his decision. The powerful Zakari Empire had never faced this situation before. Very well, Krezov said at last, the words clearly painful to him. We surrender. Morris nodded. Prepare to receive boarding parties. We'll help with your wounded. As the transmission ended, Morris leaned back in his chair, exhaustion washing over him. They had won a victory today that would change the balance of power in this sector forever. "Record everything," he told Harper. "Earth Command needs to know what we're facing out here." 6 hours after the battle, Captain Morris led a boarding party onto the crippled Zakari vessel. Security Chief Laura Jackson walked beside him, phaser at the ready. Science Officer Kevin Harper followed with Medical Officer Eric Daniels carrying emergency supplies. The interior of the alien ship was a maze of dark corridors and vast chambers. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows on the metal walls. Injured Zakari crew members watched with a mixture of fear and hatred as the humans passed. "Their technology is impressive," Harper said quietly, scanning the surroundings with his handheld device. "But notice how everything is built for size and power, not efficiency." Morris nodded. "They built exactly what they are: big, powerful, and inflexible." A Zakari officer led them to the bridge. The damage was extensive. Broken equipment sparked occasionally. Several crew members lay dead at their stations. War Leader Krazoth waited in the center of the bridge. Though injured and defeated, he still stood tall, his posture rigid with pride. "Welcome to the command center of the heavy cruiser dominance," Krazoth said bitterly. "The pride of the Zakari fleet, defeated by a vessel half its size." Morris looked around at the advanced technology, now broken and useless. "Size isn't everything, War Leader." "So you have proven," Krazoth admitted. "I have served the Imperium for 30 cycles. Never have we encountered a species that could stand against our might." "The universe is full of surprises," Morris replied, "including humanity." Krazoth's eyes narrowed. "What happens to my crew now?" "In Zakari tradition, the defeated become slaves to the victors." "That's not our way," Morris said. "Your wounded will be treated. Your ship will be towed to the nearest neutral station. You and your crew will be returned to your people." The alien commander seemed genuinely confused. "Why show such weakness? You have won. We are yours to command." "Mercy isn't weakness," Morris explained. "It takes more strength to show compassion than to destroy an enemy." This concept seemed to trouble Krazoth deeply. "I do not understand your species." "You will," Morris assured him. "In time." Back on the Dauntless, repair crews worked around the clock to fix the battle damage. In the medical bay, Dr. Wright supervised as her team treated both human and Zakari wounded side by side. "Their biology is fascinating," she told Morris during his visit. "Different from ours, but with similar needs. They respond well to our pain medication." Morris walked among the beds, stopping to speak with his injured crew members. Each told stories of bravery during the battle. Engineers who had stayed at their posts despite fires, security teams who had protected the wounded while fighting to contain breaches. In engineering, Martinez supervised repairs to the Phoenix system. "It worked better than we hoped, Captain," she said proudly. "With some refinements, it could become standard on all Earth vessels." "Write up your recommendations," Morris told her. "Earth Command will want every detail." By the next day, both ships were ready for slow travel to the nearest space station. A skeleton crew of humans remained aboard the Zakari vessel to assist with critical systems. On the bridge of the Dauntless, Morris recorded his official report. "The Zakari Imperium poses a significant threat to peace in this sector," he dictated. "They have conquered multiple worlds through superior firepower and a philosophy that equates might with right. However, our encounter has proven that they can be defeated through adaptability and tactical innovation." He paused, then continued. "More importantly, this may be an opportunity for diplomatic engagement. The Zakari respect strength. We have shown them a different kind of strength than they understand. This could be the beginning of a new relationship." Lieutenant Powell approached with a datapad. "Sir, I've compiled the intelligence we gathered from their databases. The Zakari Imperium controls 12 star systems and has plans to expand into human space within the next year." "Then we met them just in time," Morris said. As the Dauntless began its journey home, Morris stood at the view screen watching the stars. The ship had survived its greatest challenge. Earth now knew about the threat and the opportunity that the Zakari represented. In his quarters, war leader Krezov sat in contemplation. The humans had defied everything he believed about strength and power. They had defeated his superior vessel, not through brute force, but through innovation. Then they had shown mercy, a concept his people had long abandoned. For the first time in his life, Krezov wondered if the Zakari understanding of strength might be incomplete. It was a troubling thought for a warrior raised to believe in the absolute superiority of force. But as the human captain had said, the universe was full of surprises. Perhaps there was something new for even the mighty Zakari Imperium to learn.